Good morning. We are continuing to work on our unit with mathematical expressions. Today we are doing CO38. I can evaluate algebraic expressions using multiple operations. So what we've done the last couple of objectives was we do the adding. We were just adding or just subtracting, just multiplying, just dividing. Now it's getting a little bit bigger. There's more to these expressions. So hopefully we're comfortable doing those individual operations. So far we focused specifically on them. Now we are ready to put all of the operations together using PERMDAS. What is PERMDAS?
Wait.
Aiden.
Parentheses, exponents, radicals, multiply, divide, add, subtract.
So we've got parentheses, exponents, radicals, multiply, divide, add, and subtract. So what are the ones that are on the same level that we do whichever one we come first? So let's refresh our memories. We start with parentheses. Anything that's in parentheses, you do that first. Then we go back over to the left and we go across and we're going to do any exponents or radicals. Remember the exponent. Oh my goodness, it's been a long time since we talked about exponents. Remember, exponents would be when we have that number, that little number up top, when we square something. What does it mean when we have those exponents? If we have 7 squared, what am I doing, Amelia?
Would you like multiplying it? But like,
Would I multiply 7 times 2?
No.
No, what would I multiply 7 by? Yeah, by itself. 2 times. So I'm going to do 7 times 7. If it was 7 cubed, 7 to the 3rd power, what would that look like, James?
7 times 7 times 7.
Yeah. 7 times 7 times 7, not 7 times 3. You're going to get a very different number. Okay. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 2 is 14. We have to remember when we see those exponents that we're multiplying that number by itself that many times. So what is a radical? That's on the same line as the exponent. What is the opposite of exponents? If I said 7 squared is 49, how do I go backwards?
Radical.
What is a radical? What do we call it?
Divided.
Square root. So this symbol means it's the square root. So what is the square root of 49, Gigi? 7. Because we go down to what number do we multiply by itself? 7 times 7, 7 squared is 49. So the square root of 49 is 7. That's a radical, doing the square root. So they're opposite of each other. They're on the same level. Whichever one you come to first in your expression, that's what you do first. Then we have our next level is multiplying or dividing. You start at the left. Remember, we read from left to right. Do we have to do all the multiplying first and then we go back and do all the dividing? No, you're right, Olivia. You shook your head no. You read from left to right, whichever one you get to first. Do I see any multiplying or dividing? Whatever you come to first, that's what you do. And then you keep going to the end. Then we come to the adding and subtracting, whichever one you come to first, going from left to right. We're reading our math sentence left to right. So this is when I was telling us to be very organized with our math, and we're narrowing it down. We're rewriting each level. Okay. You need to be organized when we have lots of stuff in there. And I'm going to show you what that means. So, write each expression with the following values plugged in. When you see an A, you're going to write a 4. When you see a B, you're going to write a 10. When you see a C, you're going to write a 3. And when you see the D, you're going to write an 8. So we're going to rewrite our math expressions, taking out the variables and putting in the correct numbers, because they're telling us what each of those letters stands for. So if I have 2A plus 6, how am I going to rewrite that? Amelia?
24 plus 6.
Super close. But what? There's an operation in there. Yeah, so it's not 24. I'm not going to write it like that because that A equals 4. I'm not going to write it as 24. Amelia said, oh, there's a times in there. You cannot forget that. It's 2 times 4 plus 6. So when you have that coefficient next to your variable, remember you can't just go and take out the operation. There's an operation there. That's the big kid math. We know that it means multiply even though it's not written out. So what is my first step that I'm going to do? Looking at PERMDAS on this one, because we have to solve it. We're going to solve them. We're not done yet. So James, what am I going to do first?
I had a question. So like on the math test when we're doing this, or like on anything else, on like a test only, will it have like the A equals 4 and that stuff?
If they want you to evaluate the expression, if they want you to evaluate the expression, yes, they will tell you what each variable is.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll tell you to solve for the variable, so you have to figure out what it is. That is something we're building up to. We haven't gotten to it yet. So that's coming next week, how to solve for the variable. So right now, we're evaluating our expression. They will tell you what each variable stands for. So what is the first thing I'm going to do, Bennett?
2 times 4.
I'm going to do 2 times 4, because multiplying, there's no parentheses, there's no exponents or radicals, so I'm at the multiplying and dividing level. So 2 times 4 is 8. There's no more multiplying or dividing, so I'm going to bring down the rest of my expression. I only have one operation left, 8 plus 6. What is 8 plus 6? 14. 14, so that is my answer. And I'm going to circle my final answer so it's easy to see where the answer is. I'm going to scroll down. We're going to do one that's a little bit farther down, that's a little bit more complicated. Let's do this one right here. I have my variables. How am I going to rewrite that expression with my all numbers, no variables? Jillian, what would it look like?
Okay. 2 times 4.
Are you on this one?
Yeah.
So start at the beginning of the expression. What am I going to write first?
85 minus 10 plus 2 times 4.
So 85 stays the same. B is 10, so it's going to be minus 10 plus my 2, and we know that that means times the A, which is 4. So what's my first step in solving this, evaluating my expression, doing the math? What's the first thing I'm going to do, Isabel?
2 times 4.
There are no parentheses, no exponents or radicals, so then I look to see, are there any multiplying or dividing? So as I'm going from left to right, I see there's a multiplying in there. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to bring down the rest of my expression. I'm going to rewrite it. And I know there's a lot of you like, well, I can just see it in my head. I don't need to rewrite it. Why do we rewrite stuff and do all of the steps, James?
So when we get to harder math, we know how to do like building up.
Yes, that is exactly it. When we get to the harder math, we know all the steps to do and we don't make those simple mistakes. Sometimes we look at it and go, oh, but I can do it all in my head. But I want you to get in the habit of doing all the steps. Look at how I'm rewriting it. Rewrite it the same way on your paper. Don't come up with new ways to rewrite it because then it gets all confusing. We want to stay organized. So I've got 85 minus 10 plus 8. What is my next step? Jillian.
So 85 minus 10 is
Yeah, I'm going to read from left to right, and I'm going to do the first operation I come to, adding or subtracting. It doesn't matter which one. The first one I come to is 85 minus 10, which is 75. And now I have plus 8. 75, when you only have one operation left, that's what you're going to do. 75 plus 8 is 83. And that is my final answer. There's no more operations. Why would I not do 10 plus 8? Isabel?
because we like to read from left to right.
Yep, because when we were reading from left to right, I already used that 10.
But it says addition before subtraction.
Does it say addition before subtraction, or are they on the same level? So when it's on the same level, it's whichever one you come to first. We came to subtracting first, so we did the subtracting first. Okay, it's whichever one you hit first. That's why we look at what our levels are. So you do parentheses first, then you do exponents or radicals. Whichever one you come to first, they're on the same level. Then you do multiplying or dividing, whichever one you come to first. Then our last level is the adding and subtracting, whichever one you come to first. So do you see why I use this one as an example? So we remember and we know what that means. We came to subtracting first, so we do that one before adding, because we're reading from left to right. If we did it the other way, we'd get a much different answer. Because we would have gotten 85 minus 18, which would be 67. Very different answer. So it is important that you follow the rules. When you're at a level, whichever one you come to first is the one that you do. Jillian.
Is it okay if it helps me if I put parentheses around like 2 times 4? Or no?
What I would do, because parentheses are a level in our order of operation, I don't want us adding in parentheses, but do this. Instead of doing a parentheses, do that so you know that's what you're going to do. Okay? Just because I don't want us to get confused because parentheses are part of PERMDAS. Bennett.
On like the 4b minus 10c.
This one?
Yeah, how would you do that one? Because
Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're going to rewrite the expression with our values in. What would our new expression look like?
4 times 10, and then minus 10 times 3.
Because we know B is 10 and we know C is 3. So, order of operations, first is parentheses. Are there any parentheses? Nope. Next is exponents and radicals. Any exponents or radicals? Nope. Next is multiplying or dividing. Any multiplying or dividing? Yes. So, I see a multiplying right here when I start on the left. 4 times 10 is 40. Do I see any other multiplying or dividings? Yeah. 10 times 3, which is 30. And then I bring down the rest of the expression. The only thing left is that subtraction sign. So, and we know 40 times 30 is what? What's 40 minus 30? 10. 10. It's a long day.
It's the day before.
I know.
I hate that.
The day before Friday is always hard because I'm already looking forward to Friday.
Mondays and Mondays.
Okay, so are we understanding? We've done order of operations before. That's not new. It's just been a while since we've done it. So this is the perfect time for this to come up because we've got map testing next week. Good reminder on how to do order of operations. Now we know how to plug in our values for our variables, and then we just do the order of operations that we did months ago. We've already mastered that objective. Then at the bottom, they have the problems as word problems. So you just have to figure that out. So using at least two of the variables above, write an expression with a value of 24. And then using at least three of the variables above, write an expression with a value of 36. So I need to see you using those variables. What do you think if we have A equals 4, B equals 10, C equals 3, D equals 8? What might that look like for two variables? Can anybody come up with an example? You can do adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. You have to use two variables, A, B, C, and D. What can we do to get to 24? You can use, it says using at least two variables. So if you want to use more variables, and you can do other terms, like up here, they have a 3 in there. There's only one variable here, 20 plus 5a minus 3. There's one variable, but you can have other terms in there. James?
Well, I have one for 36.
Okay, tell me that one. Is it three values, three variables?
Yeah.
Okay.
A plus D times E.
Let's see if that works. What is A?
4.
What is D?
8
And what is C?
times 3.
So we do order of operations first. We multiply before we add. Did I write out the expression the way you had it in mind? A plus D times C.
Yeah.
What is 8 times 3?
24.
So now I have 4 plus 24. Does that equal 36? I know, it's not as easy as we think it is. That does not work. It did not give me 36, it gave me 28. Does anybody else have an example for one of those? Amelia,
4.
are you doing the 24 or the 36?
Is 24.
Okay,
4D minus 8.
so did you use two variables? So think about this, Amelia. Is there a variable we could plug in for one of these terms? Look back at our variables. A equals 4, B equals 10, C equals 3, D equals 8. Could we put another variable in instead of writing out the number?
Yeah.
Which one?
Um,
What could I put instead of 4? What letter could I put instead of 4? No, what letter equals 4? A. So I could write it as A, B minus 8. So A times D, so I have 4 times 8 minus 8. So 4 times 8 is 32, minus 8 is 24. That works. So you want to make sure that you have at least two variables. So this first way that she said it didn't work because there was only one variable. But the second way worked because we had two variables. You need to make sure you have at least two variables. James.
I have one for 24.
Okay, we'll do one more for 24, and then people are I just want us to have an idea of how we're doing it, and then we're gonna come up with our own. James, go ahead.
C times D.
Just that?
Yeah, C times D.
Okay, so what is C?
3.
And what is D?
8.
Oh, 3 3 times 8 is 24. So we have two variables and it equals the 24. That works. Okay. There are other people who had examples. When we go into our work time, you can come up and show me and we can check if it works. But we need to get to our work time. Then at the bottom, review time. So you're going to review stuff that we have been talking about. Make sure you remember how to do that. So for my friends at home, we hope you are well. We hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.